Okay, I wanted to welcome everybody back to Mages and Sages podcast. This is part 2 with Erin Evans, with another special guest of Erik, Scot to be, and I do hope you all enjoy.
That's right.
Getting back to the tunneling as we were.
My God.
I think that sort of thing is more fun if you don't actually figure out what it correlates to.
Exactly.
You just leave it up
yeah.
the viewer's mind. Like,
You just have
Yes.
Baltimore's face next to it. It says tunneling. He's very shocked. That's it. Tunneling. Boom, you're done.
Robert and I had a complete fantasy novel, Merlin, and all the way through he talked about the sleeve job. And
Whoa.
all the nuns would titter whenever you mentioned, oh, was that a sleeve job? And he never ever told you what a sleeve job was.
Wow.
And I got to the end of the book and I said, you bastard! How brilliant.
Oh my God. Anyway, so we should probably get to some questions here.
That's sensible.
That is sensible, and we're not even drinking scotch, Erik. Come on.
Watch our stream. It's real fun. Okay, questions.
No, absolutely. No, yeah, everybody
Yeah,
watch.
tunneling. Tell me more about
Tunneling,
Well, you're gonna
that's
have to
right.
watch the stream, Ed. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I can't wait to
all
see
right.
his face when you say you discover a new.
Hey, all of our episodes are on YouTube, by the way.
Yes,
you don't
they are.
have to watch
Yes.
them live on Twitch.
I
In fact,
have been watching them on YouTube because
fantastic.
I have this thing called a day job, and you
Yeah.
guys have a thing called a time zone.
Unfortunately, yes, but still, yeah, that's why I do the YouTube also. So.
The most recent episode, which was the flashback to like the first D&D game that we ever actually played with this group, just went live on YouTube on our channel, Dungeon Scrawlers. So check it out.
our social distancing flashback while we set up tech to stream from our individual homes.
Exactly. Of course, by the time Jeff actually puts this up, that will be like long in the past. But
You know-
yeah, that video's there. So
You know,
Go check it out.
as soon as we can. It's just that, I get up at 3 in the morning for work, and which is the time
God.
y'all are still up. I get up at 3. I go to work from 6 to 3. Then I come home and I'm exhausted. So, but now I'm
You
working
gotta
at home,
take
so I
care
get
of
up at
yourself
5.
in this time of plague. So
Well, we are working at home now. They sent us all home till like April 10th. So
That's
we're working at
reasonable.
home. So I get up at 5 instead of 3, which is better. So I can stay up 10 or 11 and get my 6 hours sleep. So I get up at 5 and work till from 6 to whatever, which is nice because I do nothing for 8 hours except take phone calls, and it's wonderful because with this time everybody's home. There's nobody getting into car wrecks. I love it. I'm really not calling.
That is good.
No, they're not calling up and saying,
That
I
is
just
good.
wrecked my car, I just got rear-ended, I just did this, and now it's
Jeff, call Canada. We wreck plenty of cars up here.
Yeah, if you're ever bored.
Little side note, there's actually a place in the harbor in Washington that is part of Canada that actually sticks down, but is part of the United States. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
a call. I got a call for a guy who said, I drove over the border, went around to that island because he had an appointment, and his car got disabled, and he had to get it towed back to the United States side. Nobody would tow him because you had to get a permit to go across, go over, get the car, get permission to tow it into Canada, then drive it over and get another tow driver to come and pick it up from Canada and bring it back to the United States. It would have been 4 tows in one thing.
Oh,
And
man.
the guy, his car is still there as far as I know. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't break down on that island. It's some kind of jetty or peninsula that sticks out. Y'all know what it is. It's in the. I don't even know. I had to look it up on the. map because I'd never heard of it before. And I'm like, oh, okay.
It's disputed territory. Gonna need to launch an invasion. Sorry, Ed.
It's okay. You can have lots of it. We've got lots more.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep,
And
Canadian.
it's all
Okay.
cold, rocks and trees. And if you get tired of them, we got trees and rocks.
That's all we really need, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Well, I just made sure I was
Does-
subscribed to your Dungeon Scrawlers, so Curry, make sure you go subscribe to it there. Absolutely. That's right.
That is the best way to make sure that you're fully up to date on all of our crazy adventures.
Well,
There's lots of stuff other than the videos too. I should point this out. Like, we have character bios, we have art, we have Cecilia's letters that somebody takes from her wastebasket, and they're all on scholars.com. Yeah, Erin has been weekly putting out these. Well, why don't you describe them, Erin?
So the idea was, well, why don't we have journals that the characters keep? And Cecilia is not an introspective person. Introspection is the way to discover that maybe you're not great and everybody hates you. So why do that? So instead, I said, well, maybe she's got mail, and the mail's in her trash can, and so you can go through her trash can and read the letters. So the first week, there's silly stuff in there. She's the bard. She presents herself as the bard's manager. He has a charisma score of 8, with a strength of 20. He plays.
Yeah, he's a strength bard. Yeah.
He's a
Her strength is his strength.
They're
Yeah.
not sure what is going on with this. But Cecilia, as we've described, has a charisma of 20, so she gets people to agree to let him play shows. So we had a stack of bills from people who say, I know we owe you for the show, but you owe us for the broken table and the broken floorboard.
And all the ale.
And all the ale, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so there's be a couple of silly ones in there, and then one that's sort of plot important. So the first week we had some letters from Marsilea. Then we've got a kind of complex letter from someone in Rashomon, of Ramiani in Rashomon, that hints at some secrets. I didn't get one up this week because of the schools are closed here.
That's right.
Yes.
Throwing some things off. There's more coming, but I asked Ed for help figuring out how to telling me how to format different kinds of letters. So we have lovely examples of formal letters and informal letters, and how people from Westgate write things and how people from Rashomon write things, which is very complicated and interesting. There's a Waterdeep one coming, so I think it's kind of fun a little bit. Randy does sort of a bestiary that Rogar is keeping. Stephen, our rogue Sturge, is writing a children's book about his backstory.
Really?
He's known for his puppet shows,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not even
which
gonna
he
talk.
often has. He often performs at the Purple Lady, which, for those of you up on your Westgate lore, is indeed a fest hall. So they are
Yeah,
erotic
They're-
puppet
okay,
shows.
They're all fest halls. What are you talking about? Which ones are not
Was it-
fest halls, Ed?
Oh,
was a
there are
great
some that are just
conversation.
clubs.
No,
There are
there's
some that are
not.
just clubs.
Well, not the one that Lauren Athlon runs. So
No. Oh my God. So anyway, let's get to some.
I once had to
questions.
explain to Lorraine Williams what a fest hall was.
Did you say it's a whorehouse, honey?
I said, yeah, like the one in Delavon. And she goes, oh, okay, I know. And then she went beet red and said, no, I don't know anything about it. Right.
Oh my God, that is perfect. Let's get to a question here that we actually have somebody who sent it in, and looks like we got some questions coming in also from other people. So this is from Spike Murphy. He is our resident scribe, and he was on the show actually with Matt Forbeck. What is the true origin of the Dragonborn on Abir Toril?
This question makes me feel like I'm missing something. So assuming you're talking about the Dragonborn that are the sort of player race in 5e, and not the Dragonborn of Bahamut, which is another thing. In my books, I use the Dragonborn name for themselves, the Vyamniri, because I don't think Dragonborn would call themselves Dragonborn. But other people would, and they'd stop fighting it and just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But they were created by magic, by the dragon tyrants of Abir, to be their slaves, and they overthrew them through sheer numbers and adaptability and will. And then they got crash landed on Toril in the spell plague, which I'm sure none of you want to talk about.
What's this spell plague you speak of, 4th edition
Hey,
stuff?
I am always happy to talk about the spell plague.
I'm running it. I just started today running a game for my son and his friends because, like I said, the school district's closed for the pandemic stuff, and they're all bored out of their skulls. And they've been wanting to play D&D, and I've been putting them off. But I realized I know enough about Dragonborn at this point that I can kind of just make it up. I don't have to have a grand plan, and they're brand new at this, so I started it. I'm like, 3 of them are Dragonborn, and 1 wanted to be an elf. So they are in trouble because they stole some pastries and tried to steal a sword for the fighter. And this is the 3rd time. So Mahen showed up, my character from my book, who's one of their great uncles, and was like, here's your punishment. You're going to go down in the catacombs and you're going to kill 20 rats. And they don't know.
Classic D&D.
Oh my god, really?
Well, I gave them an option. I said it was like, you can either go down there and kill 20 rats, or you could take this package to Jared Cathendi, which they have not been allowed to walk to Jared Cathendi, the next city over. And I explained it to them that it was like, they live in Seattle and someone told them to walk to Bellevue across the bridge. And they're all like, we can't do that! So they picked rats. They're going to go kill rats. But
Go kill rats. Are these big rats at least?
They haven't gone down yet. Today was supposed to just be building characters because
Rodents of unusual size.
RUSs.
I'm gonna fill out their sheets and email them. But then they're like, can we play? I'm like, you can't. I mean, yeah, but we can't do the fighting stuff very well because you can't. I don't have your weapons filled out and things. So we're just gonna like role play. We're just gonna kind of make up a story. So that's as far as we got before I had to stop. But
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. How old are they?
8.
8? Oh my god. See, man, what I would have done to start playing at 8, my parents bought me my first D&D game when I was 16.
Oh wow.
17. So I started playing in 1979, 78, 79. And I played, this is back when they had Spring Chicken. I'm only a few years younger than you. I had 4 years, I think.
Yeah, I know.
There was chit cards. Y'all don't know this, you youngsters. We had chits. we didn't have dice. And basically there were little punch-out cards with numbers on them for a D20. It went 1 to 20. You put it in a Ziploc, and you shook it up, and you reached in and grabbed the number.
Bag.
Yeah.
What?
And that was your die roll.
I got one kid who doesn't have a set of dice. The other one's played a D&D game for my son's birthday. I borrowed my friend Susan's Dwarven Forge stash and made a big like labyrinth and did a Zelda Breath of the Wild themed D&D game.
Oh, nice.
None of them had played. They got, to go through that. And they got dice as their party favor. But there's like one kid that he wasn't friends with at the start of the year that he's now good friends with. And that kid doesn't have dice. So that's a good idea. I might steal that because
that was the way we did it back then. Well, the phones. If he has a phone, you can do Google will roll dice.
So I sent his mom a link to a dice roller, and he didn't have it. I don't think any of them have phones, which is.
Oh, they don't. Oh, they're 8. That's true. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Oh my god.
One of my kids' friends gets a phone. It's all good.
Oh my god. No. Yeah. Yes. Let me tell you, there was nothing like when I first started playing was reaching in a bag and go, okay, I roll a dice. What do I get? And then when I first was able to actually drive to Wichita Falls, Texas, my first time, went into the hobby store and I'm like, you mean there's dice for this game? Oh my god! But these are dice you had to color yourself too. My blank dice. That's right. I still have my original wax crayons, and my dice now just roll across the table because all the edges are smoothed off. So my original dice, I go to roll and they just keep rolling across the table.
Right.
So they're lucky. My point is they're lucky to be playing in a time like this because there's so much out there that you can use and make it more adventurous to them. Because for us,
we're living in a golden age.
We are.
What a time to be alive.
It is.
Well, except for the whole, pandemic thing.
Yeah.
But, otherwise.
Other than that, hey, at least they're not rising from the dead yet. That's all that counts. Okay.
Yeah.
Notice how he put the word "yet" in.
Yet. Oh, did I tell you I invented a time machine? I've already gone a few months ahead. Don't worry. Nothing happens until June. We're good. So let's.
reassuring, Joe.
As long as it's done by Gen Con, I'm good.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because we have a whole. I don't know if you know, Eric. We have a whole group coming. My wife's actually coming for the first time,
Oh yeah.
and my son, and then Curry,
That's
and
exciting.
his girlfriend, and then 2 other friends. So we're gonna have. We're trying to do the whole role play thing too. Yeah, we got a whole group going. We'd really like to make it without having to get it canceled this year. So hopefully
Well, yeah. Let's hold out hope.
we'll
Yeah.
hold out hope. So yes, exactly. So let's go to the next question. Curry, you want to read that?
Sure thing. Jason over at the Fans of Ed Greenwood Facebook site says, when you guys are writing your Forgotten Realms novels, has the current edition of D&D ever influenced the aspects of your storyline?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, speaking as someone who primarily wrote about, I was mostly in 4th edition, and I wrote about Tiefling and Dragonborn. And so I know there are a lot of people who love 2nd edition who really don't like what I did by being here and writing about the stuff that was in front of me. I mean, that's the kind of thing, when you're writing these novels, right, you have to get the sign off of the editorial team, and they have to adhere to what's current. It's hard to bounce back off that. But I've only written in 4th, and then I guess I dipped my toe in 5th because my last
Right.
book I'd written a changeover. So I'm probably not the best person to answer the bulk of this question, gentlemen.
Gentlemen.
Yes. The
She
answer
throws
is
to
yes.
us, and we go,
Okay. I have something to say about this. Okay, so my first novel that I wrote for Wizards was in 3.5. When I started coming up with the concept of the character and the story, because that was Ghostwalker, and the concept was pick one of these prestige classes, write a novel about this prestige class. And the prestige classes were from 3rd edition, the Fighter's Handbook, 3rd edition. 3.0, not 3.5, 3.0. Okay,
Right,
that's
sure,
important to note. And so I built the character, built out the story, and then 3.5 launched essentially while I was writing the book. And so I went to my editor, the aforementioned Susan Morris, and said, "Hey, I need to know how 3.5 works for my book." And she either bought that or she didn't care that I was kind of lightly conning her into sending me the books. And so then I got put on the list. And when you're on the Wizards list, it means they send you every book that gets published.
Sure.
So I got like the vast majority of the 3.5 books.
I am
And
not
then
on
a
the
bunch of
list.
4E books as well. And all because I was writing a book that I wasn't sure about the nuance between 3.0 and 3.5. And there is some nuance. It is true. And then when the time came to write Downshadow and the post 4E books, the setting changed dramatically. And so the plans for those books had to be very strongly steeped in the setting. It changed a lot of the basic concepts that I was having once we got the setting Bible about 4E. And I looked through it and I was like, wow, wouldn't have expected most of this. I don't think anyone would have expected most of that.
That's true.
So yeah, I had to change around some things. And then when the 4th edition handbook came out, I suddenly realized that, oh no, this rogue paladin that I've been writing about he can't do a lot of the stuff that I have described him as doing. It's sort of inspired by the game rather than slaving to the mechanics. So I had to adjust things in the editorial stage to make sure it was at least plausible. Plausibility is what we're aiming for. It doesn't have to be strictly described by mechanics, but it's got to be like a reader could go, okay, I think that sort of fits. Yes.
Right.
I think that's really important when you're writing a novel, because a novel is not an RPG. It's not a game session. It's not an adventure. And so things that make sense in terms of what you need for a game aren't always going to port over. Like the
Right.
one I've had arguments about is hit points. The way you think about getting hurt and getting healed in a game makes sense. In a novel, like the idea that you've got this like little ticker that goes down and up, right? Where people had a hard time with like healing surges, but it makes a lot of sense if you think about the way people actually fight. Like a healing surge is just you pushing your intestines back in and going like, I gotta go a little harder. It's just like adrenaline. And that may not make sense in the terms of like tracking how you are in an RPG, and it may feel weird when there's healing magic, but when you're thinking about like how someone in an actual fight and translating that into a novel, like this is perfect. This makes perfect sense. So some of those changes, like you can get away with just kind of blurring the edge. And there's a lot of things too, like I gave Farida Misty Step, which became a Fae Pact, or maybe it was always a Fae Pact Warlock thing. I just thought it was cool and thematic. And it doesn't matter because my fights don't have to be balanced the way a game fight has to be balanced. They have to be balanced in a narrative sense. They have to be exciting. So, like, you can't just say, forget all of this. Mine is the most powerful character in the world. And you need to like kind of hit that sweet spot of what D&D feels like. But I think that there's a lot of room to go around the rules. And the rules, the mechanics stuff, I feel like is the biggest pressure point on that.
Right. Yeah, but writing the novels and associating to the game, you know, there's a lot of creative freedom that you can write, that you can put into the novels you wouldn't put into the game. For example, I know that Bob Salvatore got a lot of crap when he first started writing Dritz, when he put bracers of speed on his legs to make him run faster. Okay. Everybody was like, you can't do that. What are you doing? They can't. Look at the book. It says what they are. And he's like, okay, fine. It's my character. I can do what I want to with it. So,
like, let me ask my DM. Hey, story lead, can I do this? Oh, my DM said yes.
Oh, my DM, exactly. That's the whole thing. So that's what a lot of times the players, people who don't write, don't understand, is that they're told it's a Venn diagram. You know, so they do interconnect in storyline and lore, but mechanics are not going to be the same because, you know, as you're, nobody's going to want to read about Dritz who gets down to one hit point. He's like, guys, I got to sit down for a minute. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Let me just, okay, it's all right. Wait a second here. Let me go drink this. Drink it down. Okay, wait, I got some points back. Let's go. You know, you don't want to hear that kind of stuff. You want to see it.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second.
All right.
Okay. As the guy who's been writing since the Earth cooled for D&D, there have been times when we've been ordered to match what's in the game.
Oh, wow.
So much so that one of the goodies in my early novels was to describe spellcasting so completely and in such detail that you could take a spell from the player's handbook and role play casting it with the incantation and everything because I put it in the book. And then the wheel turns and the editors say, don't make it match the rules exactly. No, we don't want that anymore. So some of the readers can be forgiven for saying, but because if you read something from one part of recorded history, you run into an author who is trying to match the rules completely. And of course, one can argue that that's fraught with, well, at the Avatar trilogy, we have to make all assassins go away.
Yeah.
Except Artemis, because we like Artemis. You know.
Right.
But I mean, depending on when something would
exactly.
They could be forced to do this.
Right. No, that's what I mean. But as people who don't write, and the players, the fans, they don't see that. They look at it and go, why isn't Dritz in just like they should be here? Because I remember the whole story that when Bob first started writing Dritz and he got popular, he told his DM, I want to play Dritz. I got to play Dritz in my game. So they actually rolled him up based on his writing, and I think he said he was dead in 10 minutes. He literally could not. It wouldn't play because it didn't work out. So he literally got into one fight and died. He said it was horrible for him. But just that people don't see it. So to me, I don't even think about it when I'm reading or writing. I don't think about I wanted to match the lore, but I don't have to match the way it's written precisely in the rule book because, as we all know, they're all guidelines anyway. So.
Well, and I'm pretty sure Drizzt is a
Sorry.
first edition D&D character, so I
Right.
like he's following a different set of rules.
True. But yeah, you try having one of your characters put braces of speed on their legs. How far are you gonna let them go?
Although if you read the recent Drizzt stuff, like Timeless, for instance, Drizzt now has monk levels. Monk levels.
Monk levels, I know.
It's amazing.
Well, don't forget he's old enough that he has time to learn all these
Exactly.
different disciplines. You know, he lives.
This
If you
should-
go by first edition rules, he can live up to 1,500 years. I mean, come
This
on.
should be in the player's handbook. It should say, elves are usually around 40th level when encountered, but they won't be 20th level in any particular class. They will be 8th level at most in any particular class because they eventually got bored and multi-class to a new class.
And they're no less than 400 years old, right?
Right.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
you guys.
That is perfect. So I put 2 questions up there, but I think I'm going to skip the first one from Spike.
I have an extensive rant about this, but
No, if you do, go right ahead. Tell me, please. So,
I find, like, again, I love the Dragonborn. There was a sort of disconnect when the Dragonborn were brought in, that there's the Dragonborn that were created for the Nentir Vale setting, which were descended from dragons, Arcosian, right? And so there, the lore for, like, dragons and draconic gods is really important. And then you have the Forgotten Realms, where the Dragonborn are from Abir, a world with no gods, right? And they're the slaves of dragons. They may look
Right.
like dragons, but they hate them. So they come to the realms, right? And so they are functionally atheists. They're like, we do things ourselves, we get our stuff done, and anybody who comes to us offering something, we know there's a hook. We don't need you. So that's point 1. And then point 2, they still hate dragons. So there's bits that come in where they're like, oh, there's Dragonborn that worship Bahamut. And I cannot figure out why that makes any sense at all. And it's canon, right? Like, it's in all the stuff, but I may in my last book have had a priest of Bahamut who's like, I don't know why, nobody's answering my prayers. More sense to me, who was actually an Untheric god that came back in the Sundering and went, holy crap, what happened while I was gone? And kind of adopted them. Yeah, so there's like this actual question about Io and Asgaroth is not one I know anything about, except for the fact that I know those are draconic gods. Or, it's a
right.
god with multiple names. But to my mind, the Dragonborn don't care about that. That is not their problem. That is not their business. And like, if your kids start messing around with Bahamut or Asgaroth or Tiamat, all of them, it's bad news. It's bad news, and you need to sit down and have a talk with them.
Well, that was the second part of the interview with Erin Evans and the special guest Erik Scot to be here at Mages and Sages. We do hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun putting that together. And stay tuned next time for part 3 with Erin Evans. Until then, keep playing in the realms.
Hurry, hurry, step right up.
Come, marvel at tales of weird history that prove fiction has nothing on reality.
Thrill at stories of strange science, from the utterly mind-bending to the horribly misguided.
Chill from true tales of the unexplained, paranormal, and supernatural.
All this plus comedy, romance, and variety.
It's colossal!
It's stupendous!
It's your new favorite podcast, a delicious, mysterious tincture called Odd Tonic.
Join us in the parlor each week, dear guest, for a cup of tea and a bizarre, enthralling tale to delight the mind and stir the senses.
Odd Tonic, an exquisite elixir for those who love the odd?
Or a tantalizing treat for those who are the odd.
Yes.